A real patriot here. It's been the last 2 weeks been kind of crazy. From what happened in Buffalo to what happened in Texas, my home state. People need to talk down and actually have a discussion about guns. People just let it slide by. People need to talk about bullying. People need to talk about all this stuff. But some people just keep pushing it aside. Like, no, we're not going to talk about this. Not a good time to talk about this. Not the right time to talk about it. It's never the right time to talk about it. That's the problem with these mass shootings. Is that talking about guns is never the right time after a mass shooting. But here in the United States, we have 1 to 2 mass shootings every week. If not more. Since the beginning of this year, we've had 212 mass shootings, and it's just the end of May. There's been more mass shootings than there's been days in this year. Mass shootings just keep getting worse. The only time we've had a break from mass shootings is when we had an assault weapon ban. Because honestly, you don't need who needs a fully automatic to protect their house? You don't. The only time you need a fully automatic weapon is if you're protecting this country, not your house. If you can't protect your house with a sidearm and you need a fully automatic weapon to protect your house, you need to learn how to use a gun. Gun education classes need to be back. We need those. We need them in schools. We need them offered from gun shops, gun ranges. We need weapon education in this country. With weapon education, it may actually help because people will actually be smarter. And if people are smarter, they're not likely to use the weapons as much because they actually know what it can do. They'll actually show them video of the carnage that happens when mass shootings happen. They won't want to do it no more. I mean, it's insane. People don't get it. Sorry, I'm messing around with my screen trying to get myself full screen. Okay. There we go. That. And then, okay, that's better. I had to mess with my screen a little bit to get myself on the full screen. We need to have a national discussion, and we need to come up with some common sense gun laws and tell the NRA to stay out of it. That's the main reason we don't have common sense gun laws. That's the reason we don't have universal background checks. I mean, universal background checks, that would help. And for anybody under the age of 25 who want to buy a weapon, they need to have references. Just like you do to get a job, get an apartment, a house, anything. We need to have stuff like that. Get references. People who live around you. People who have more in contact with you than, I don't know, an hour. So from your coworkers. I mean, come on. I know you have coworkers that like you. You have coworkers that hate you. Go with coworkers that like you. And learn to care for your weapon, to store your weapon, and learn that you don't aim at anything unless you intend to shoot. That's what that's what the military always uses. Don't aim at anything you don't intend to shoot, and don't intend to shoot people. That should be a big thing. Unless you're in the military or police force, you should be taught you don't shoot humans, especially little kids. People want to say, "Oh, it's bullying, it's bullying, it's bullying." Like, you mean the thing that the Democrats have been going on for about last 20 years that we need to put an end to? And now you want to talk about it because of shooting? It's like you don't have room to talk about something because you refuse to talk about it in the first place. I mean, you're told to shut up when you try to talk about bullying. You're told to shut up. Oh, that's not important. We don't need to talk about it. Yes, we do. We need to talk about that. We need to get political parties to make sure they don't elect bullies. Don't elect people who don't actually care. I mean, I'm passionate about this because I was bullied in school when I was in elementary. They stopped about 6th grade because about 6th grade, that was around the time the Columbine shooting happened, and people who were bullied, the bullying dropped big time, but around that time. Sad reason for the bullying to stop Good reasons for the bullying to stop would be like, oh, this is stupid. I shouldn't bully people. If you catch your kid bullying somebody, punish them. Ground them. And then look at yourself and see why your kid is bullying. Is it because of you? Is it because of something they saw on TV? Because what they see on TV, that's on you. What you do to your kids and to your family, that's on you. If your kid is bullying because you are being bullied at home, you really need to look in the mirror. Parents, look at yourself in the mirror. Be like, is what I'm doing is bullying? And you have nothing to base it off of? Sadly enough, watch Boy Meets World. You might think that's weird to say watch a TV show. But look at it. Would what you're doing to your family be something that they would do to the family? Talk to somebody. I'll talk to you. I don't care. I'll talk to you. Because to end gun violence, we need it in bullying. That would actually cut down. And also to end gun violence, we need to get rid of the racist rhetoric that is spouted on TV way too much. I mean, the hate that's in this country. Yes, it comes from both sides, but one's worse than the other. And then you have people saying great replacement theory. Well, there's no great replacement theory going on. That was something that was something the Nazis said. I mean, don't be talking great replacement theory. You need to look yourself in the mirror. I mean, common sense gun laws is what we need in this country. We can't get common sense gun laws, which tried to be passed after Sandy Hook, because the NRA tells Republicans, you cannot vote for this. You need to filibuster this or we ain't giving you no more money. We need to get the lobbyists out. Why is my screen doing that? Okay. We need to get the lobbyists out of our Congress. We need to get the lobbyists out of politics. We need to get their money out. But no. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court's allowing that because, well, they don't want to get it out because their party gets so much money from companies, from corporations. It's like, really? Really? You're not supposed to be doing politics in the Supreme Court, but that's what's going on. We need to get gun lobbyists out of Congress. We need to get common sense gun laws passed. I mean, no one's going to take your guns. That's something people always say, oh, the government's going to take guns. No one's going to take your guns. No one wants to take your guns. I mean, an assault weapon ban where you can't buy new assault weapons, you already own them. They're not taking them. The fact that people think that is just weird. I mean, quit buying to the NRA lie that the Democrats are going to take your guns. That's all it is. It's a lie that was started by the NRA. Quit believing bullshit. I'm not monetized, so I'm not worried about it. So, my fellow patriots, have a good day. Stay safe, and you can send thoughts and prayers, but unless the actual action is taken, those thoughts and prayers are empty. So call your congressman, tell them we need common sense gun laws passed. I mean, I keep calling Ted Cruz, but I'm sure he doesn't even hear what people are saying. Which is why I'm glad Beto stood up in front of Greta Abbott, the lieutenant governor, and Ted Cruz to try to get them to talk about it. They didn't want to talk about it. I mean, when the people you vote, people who are supposed to represent you, don't want to listen, you got to stand up to them in public. If they're having a press conference, yell it out there. If they're at a restaurant, yell at them there. I mean, it has to be done because they're not listening. And too many kids are not going to get to go home. Too many families have to grieve their kids being killed. Happened in Sandy Hook. It happened in Parkland. It's happened several times in Texas. It happened in El Paso. It happened in a grocery store. Families grieving because they lost their loved ones due to unnecessary violence that's not needed. We have the worst epidemic of gun violence in the world. That's including the Middle East. We have more gun violence than they do. And it's against our own people. It's ridiculous. We need to come together, whether you're overly pro Second Amendment. There's nothing wrong with Second Amendment. There's written regarding militias and necessary for our country's protection, because we didn't have a strong military force at the time. Our forces were weak at the time. So, whether if you believe in what the Second Amendment has morphed into for you to believe that's what it means, which is what the NRA did, or you actually think you actually can look back at to what the Founding Fathers were going through at that time and what it would actually mean. I mean, that's why I look at it. I'm like, hey, we didn't have a strong military force then, not like we have nowadays, and we couldn't defend ourselves. We needed the militias to help fill in our ranks in the military. That's what that was. I mean, we didn't have money we didn't have any way to get money for weapons for our military, so civilians did it. I mean, we could barely feed our military, let alone provide them weapons and boots and stuff. We had to steal from the British. We had to steal from our enemies at the time. That's something to think about. But whether you believe that or the other one, we need to have a common sense discussion and pass common sense gun control laws. We need universal background checks. It's not that hard. And if they want to talk about mental health, well, why don't we make mental health a priority? Make it affordable. Not make the only place you can get mental health being at a prison or a jail. Think about that. That's the only way you get mental health. Not before you do something bad. After you do something bad, then you get the help. That's ridiculous. We should be getting... The help needs to be provided before bad things happen. So if I go big, keep going in the video here. So, real patriots, stay safe. And let's actually do something instead of just saying thoughts and prayers. Let's take action, finally.